see. So today we're going to be reading from Rumi. There it is. Rumi. The Essential Rumi. Translation by Coleman Barks. Now, here on my consciousness journey, one of my teachers talks about Rumi all the time. And you know, I bought this book a few years ago, and I never actually took the time to dig into it. So here we are. This is the time to dig into it. One more time. That's Rumi, the Essential Collection. This first poem we're going to read, you're not going to be able to see that. This first poem we're going to read is Shreds of Steam. The first poem is Shreds of Steam. So let's have a look. Light again, and the one who brings light, change the way you live. From the ocean vat, wine fire in each cup. 2 or 3 of the long dead wake up. 2 or 3 become lion hunters. Sunlight washes a dark face. The flower of what's true opens in the face. Meadow grass and garden ground grow damp again. A strong light like fingers. A strong light like fingers massages our heads. No dividing those fingers from those. Draw back the lock bolt, and one level flows into another. Heat seeps into everything. The passionate pots boil. Clothing tears into the air. Poets fume shreds of steam, never so happy as out in the light. As I'm reading this, something I'm noticing. Something I'm noticing is that my body wants to stand taller as it reads. My body wants to stand a little bit taller as I read. And if you're just joining us now, that's a good question. What are we reading? We're reading the Essential Collection of Rumi. And we've made it 3 stanzas in to Shreds of Steam. Steam fills the bath, and frozen figures on the wall open their eyes, wet and round. Narcissus eyes that see enormous distances and new ears that love the details of any story. The figures dance like friends, diving up and coming up and diving again. Steam spills into the courtyard. It's the noise of resurrection. They move from one corner, laughing across to the opposite corner. No one notices how steam opens the rows of each mind, fills every beggar's cup solid with coins, holds out a basket it fills up so well that emptiness becomes what you want. The judge and the accused forget the sentencing, and someone stands up to speak, and the wood of the table becomes holy. The tavern in that second is actually made of wine, and the dead drink it in. How will this finish? What are we reading? If you've just joined us, we're digging into the essential Rumi. Translation by Coleman Barks. We're nearing the end of Shreds of Steam. Then the steam evaporates. Figures sink back into the wall. Eyes blank. Ears just lines. Now it's happening again. Outside. The garden fills with bird and leaf sounds. We stand in the wake of this chattering and grow airy. How can anyone say what happens, even if each of us dips a pen 100 million times into ink? How can any of us say what happens, even if each of us dips a pen 100 million times into ink. We're digging into the Essentials collection. Rumi, a 13th century Persian Sufi poet. He writes about dissolving into the beloved. And if we look, we might find this poem, shreds of steam, representing our thoughts, representing our ego, representing a personal drama playing in our head, representing that sense of being separate from the whole. All this briefly arises and then disappears. Let's see. We have a bit of I'm getting a keyframe error. Perhaps not sending the right keyframe rate. I'll go ahead and try to fix this keyframe rate so we can have a smooth experience. Switch it to 2. Alright, fair. YouTube wants me to figure out my keyframe rate. We shall do that. H26. Hardware or software? Hardware. Rate control, CBR. 3,000, 6,000. Oh, are they serious? Massively up my bit rate. Let's do 5,000. And we're live. Let's see. So far the stream is healthy. This music is starting to turn up. Where are we at with that? Cool, it looks like we've got our bitrate issue fixed. If you're joining us now, and you're new here, we are reading Rumi, the Essential Collection. Now Rumi was a 13th century Persian Sufi poet, and he constantly writes about dissolving into the beloved. So we'll do our second pass here. Rumi poetry is not exactly the kind that sinks in the first time. So let's read Shreds of Steam. Light again, and the one who brings light. Light again, and the one who brings light. Light again, and the one who brings light. Change the way you live. From the ocean vat, wine fire in each cup. 2 or 3 of the long dead wake up. 2 or 3 drunks become lion hunters. Sunlight washes a dark face. The flower of what's true opens in the face. Meadow grass and garden ground grow damp again. A strong light, like fingers, massages our heads. No dividing these fingers from those. Draw back the lock bolt. Draw back the lock bolt. One level flows into another. Heat seeps into everything. The passionate pots boil. The passionate pots boil. Clothing tears into the air. Poets fume shreds of steam. Poets fume shreds of steam. Never so happy as out in the light. Steam fills the bath and frozen figures on the wall open their eyes, wet and round. Narcissus eyes. Eyes that see enormous distances, and new ears that love the details of any story. Steam fills. Steam fills. Steam fills the bath, and frozen figures on the wall open their eyes, wet and round. Narcissus eyes. That see enormous distances, and new ears that love the details of any story. Don't you love that line? New ears that love the details of any story. Before we go any further in the essential collection of Rumi poetry, I just invite you to pause here on this line. New ears that love the details of any story. What does that mean? New ears that love the detail of any story. Listen, we live in a time where we've got these magic boxes. We've got these magic boxes And we can flash any number of story. And we swipe and we swipe and we swipe until we find the story that we like. But what Rumi's saying is that we can find new ears. New ears that love the details of any story. Do you know how powerful that is? If you loved the details of any story that came along, you wouldn't really suffer now, would you? If you loved the details of any story that came along, you wouldn't have any preference. You would just be. If you hear this message, put it into practice. Try it out. If this message has gotten to you, maybe you like it. And maybe I would invite you to an experiment. Could you see if you could love the detail of any story? Let's proceed. We're reading Rumi, The Essential Collection. Shreds of Steam. The figures dance like friends, diving and coming up and diving again. Let's come back to these figures. Let's raise it back up to the beginning of the stanza. Steam fills the bath, and frozen figures on the wall open their eyes, wet and round. Narcissus eyes that see enormous distances, and new ears that love the details of any story. Why not? If you're just joining us, we're reading The Essential Collection. Rumi poetry. Shreds of steam. Steam fills the bath, and frozen figures on the wall open their eyes, wet and round. Narcissus eyes. Narcissus eyes that see enormous distances. Can you try to put yourself into the consciousness of a frozen figure on the wall? Could you become a frozen figure on the wall, which I'm assuming is some sculpture, some painting, some frozen figure on the wall? Could you become that figure? And then as the steam rose up from the baths and wet your eye, the condensation created a pebble of water on your frozen eye and granted you a lens to collect the light, a lens to illuminate your consciousness. A frozen figure on the wall, now illuminated. Wet and round. Narcissus eyes that see enormous distances. And new ears that love the details of any story. I'm hearing once illuminated, frozen figure, given the gift of light, new levels of consciousness come online. The ears that love the details of any story. The figures dance like friends, diving and coming up and diving again. It's a sort of rhythm. Down and up and down and up and down and up. The steam spills into the courtyard. It's the noise of resurrection. They move from one corner, laughing across to the opposite corner. No one notices how steam opens the rows of each mind, fills every beggar's cup solid with coins, holds out a basket. It fills up so well that emptiness becomes what you want. Steam. Steam spills into the courtyard. It's the noise of resurrection. They move from one corner, laughing across to the opposite corner, and no one notices how steam opens the rows of each mind, fills every beggar's cup solid with coins, holds out a basket. It fills up so well that emptiness becomes what you want. The steam is filling up the emptiness. Does anybody get that? The steam Steam spills into the courtyard. Okay, this must be a metaphor. Steam, ego, consciousness, thoughts. Steam spills and ego spills into the courtyard. The courtyard is an opening. The courtyard's a gathering place. The courtyard. We've left the private chambers of the bath, and we're emanating out into the courtyard. It's the noise of resurrection. Steam spills into the courtyard. It's the noise of resurrection. They move from one corner, laughing across to the opposite corner. No one notices how steam opens the rows of each mind, fills every beggar's cup solid with coins. I see. I'm mixing up two poems. We've got shreds of steam. We've got shreds of steam here on one page, and then we have steam bath here on another page. The way steam bath is labeled, it looks like the title here. But we're currently reading the Essential Collection by Rumi, a Persian Sufi poet who writes about dissolving into unity. Welcome, Madison Brooke. How are you doing? This must be some really enlightened work. It's a mind opener, kind of walking our way through it. See if any insights strike. Madison Brooks. Well, welcome in. What's alive for you in this moment? Steam fills the bath, and frozen figures on the wall open their eyes, wet and round. Narcissus eyes that see enormous distances. And new ears that love the details of any story. I love that line. New ears that love the details of any story. You know, we have these little magic boxes where we can swipe through story after story until we find one we like. And I'm hearing here that Rumi says, new ears that love the details of any story. And it sounds so freeing. The end of preference. Yeah. The figures dance like friends, diving and coming up, diving again. Steam spills into the courtyard. It's the noise of resurrection. Madison Brooks got hit by a car on the 15th of January, 2023. Still recovering from a broken back. What a powerful experience. How's that recovery been? Sounds like a life-changing incident. Did it leave any... In what way are you still recovering? And has it changed the way that you look at life? Where were we? Steam spills into the courtyard. It's the noise of resurrection. It seems to me this is... Here, Rumi's resurrection here. It's celebratory. And I don't quite know why. But I can feel that it's celebratory. Steam spills into the courtyard. It's the noise of resurrection. They move from one corner to another, laughing all along. But no one notices how steam opens the rose of each mind. The rose of each mind. I'm picturing, you know how you'll have an envelope that's been sealed, but the envelope, you need to get it open without ripping it, and so you'll take the steam and you'll put the steam up to the seal and you'll lift the envelope. I'm picturing doing that to a rosebud, and as you steam the rosebud, it's just a soft, gentle release, and the petals unfurl. And this is your mind. The steam opening up your mind, opening up your heart, the mind and the body. Madison's life has been changed forever. Been in bed with my men, my 3 sons, and my husband. Taking vitamin D every day, because I don't get sunlight. Insides are messed up.
You've never looked at a woman and been totally vulnerable. Oh my God, what an angel on earth just for you. Could rescue you from the depths of hell, and you wouldn't know what it's like to be her angel.
I'm with you, Madison. Sending you some energy. Have you found any meaning in this experience? Have you found any what's the thing that pulls you forward? Is that something you're still searching for? I appreciate that. Great vibe for a spirit like me, Madison Brooks says. This is my first time streaming, so thank you for being here. You're giving me a gift. No one notices how steam opens the rows of each mind, fills every beggar's cup solid with coins. And there's the celebration. Can you feel that? Can you feel being a beggar on the street? A beggar on the street, and when people walk past, they avert their eyes. They pull themselves across the street just to avoid being in the aura of the beggar. As if the beggar's contagious. Standing out there all day, hoping for a couple coins. And we're saying no one notices how steam opens the rows of each mind and fills every beggar's cup solid with coins. Celebrate. Yes. Whatever the steam is. Yes. Hold out a basket. Hold out your basket, Rumi says. It fills up so well that emptiness becomes what you want. I love cars. They spin me sideways. But that's beside the point. So I keep hoping one day I'll drive my car again. Yes, Madison. I have a friend who was in a car accident herself. In 2020, we met at the Arts Bar in Kansas City. This was a long time ago when we met. And there was good community back then, where we were, you know. But then around 2020, she got hit by a car. Car-to-car collision. And also, the whole COVID shutdown thing. So it was just, that was her particular story for the severing of that community, of that connection. But then the loss of autonomy. She came out fine health-wise. No major injuries there. But psychologically, she shut down in the fear of getting back into a car. And it's interesting, I met her a few years after, 4 years after that. And I knew she was just such a light. And I was like, why are you being held back? Something about it that wasn't right. And so I pulled some resources together, and I was like, well, if you could have a car, would you be able to maintain it? Because it was like, do you have enough to be able to maintain it? Because, sometimes you just get this barrier. You just get this barrier that if you could just get past that barrier, things would start adding up. And I grew up poor, and we were always being chased by bill collectors, and so I understood that well. And I was like, this woman doesn't need this barrier. And so I was able to help her out there. But then once she had that empowerment of being able to have a vehicle, she found out that her real fear was getting back in the car. And so we've been working through that. So I love to see over here in the chat that you are your spirit's ready. And it sounds like you've got some physical recovery to to bridge the gap there. So, but hands raised emoji for that spirit of yours, Madison. Let's see. And we were... hold out your basket. It fills up so well that emptiness becomes what you want. What a milestone for your life. If you've ever reached the point in your life, and this emptiness that Rumi talks about, we know if Rumi's talking about it, it's not numbing out. It's not cutting yourself off. This emptiness is like, it's unity. This is the emptiness of completion. This is the emptiness of, well, saying satisfaction would be giving it too much emotional charge. And so can you imagine a level of joy settled down into satisfaction, settled down into contentment, settled all the way down into this indescribable blank state where there's no preference, but yet you can love the details of any story. That's this emptiness. Very easy to shut off indeed. That's why we gotta keep doing things like this and just share. I find if you share your presence with another person, that's the greatest gift. And if you share it with an open heart, well, I guess that tops the first one. There's the greatest gift. So the judge and the accused forget the sentencing. Someone stands up to speak, and the wood of the table becomes holy. The tavern in that second is actually made of wine. The dead drink it in. One's a head scratcher. You got any ideas for that one? The judge and the accused forget the sentencing. Someone stands up to speak, and the wood of the table becomes holy. The tavern in that second is actually made of wine. The dead drink it in. Well, let's see. The judge and the accused. If you're a judge and you're an accused, you're here to figure out the sentencing. And so we're saying, this is a pressing matter, one of consequence, one of formality. This judge. There's rules to the container of the courtroom. There's years of tradition. And you address the judge. There's limitations on your speech. You treat the whole container with respect, and there's a gravity to the whole thing. And we're saying both of them, even the judge. It's one thing for the accused to forget. Well, hold on, actually. The accused is the one facing these consequences. The judge and the accused forget the sentencing. Whatever this is, it must be profound. It reminds me of, I've heard, like, in the presence of God, the mortal falls to their knees. It's not out of some tyrannical force. It's just so divine that you fall down and praise it. That's what comes to mind for me. The judge and the accused forget the sentencing. Someone stands up to speak, and the wood of the table becomes holy. The tavern in that second is actually made of wine. I suppose they're saying, the tavern, you come for the wine. But in this case, it's abundant. There's also a merger here. Because imagine a tavern, all the structure, all the tables, the wall, the bar, in the times of Rumi, probably the barrels of wine, all of it in a flash turns into liquid. One time I had a dream, and in the dream, I was in a living room, and there were a bunch of like fish, like aquarium fish. The living room was not filled with water, but the fish were swimming through the air like it was water, like the living room was an aquarium. That's what's coming up for me here with that merger. It's like the environment itself has become like that medium. So normally air and water, like we're living up here on land, breathing in the air, and then the fish live in that container of the ocean and the water. And in this dream, the two worlds combined. It's like the medium was shared. The medium was inconsequential. And so here, the tavern in that second is actually made of wine, and the dead drink it in. Then the steam evaporates, and figures sink back into the wall. Eyes blink, ears just lines. These figures from before, these sculptures, perhaps painting, two-dimensional figures. The steam evaporates and the figures sink back into the wall. Eyes blink, ears just line, frozen. No longer animate. Now it's happening again, outside. The garden fills with bird and leaf sounds. We stand in the wake of this chattering and grow airy. How can anyone say what happens, even if each of us dips a pen 100 million times into ink? How can anyone say what happens, even if each of us dips a pen 100 million times into ink? How can any one of us say what happens, even if each of us dips a pen 100 million times into ink? That's like we walk around and we try to describe our experiences so we can share them, communicate them, relay them across the globe. But it's all in vain. Not that we shouldn't do it, but there's the experience itself. That's living the now. That's living with that presence. And there's no replicating that. Well, this was the first Rumi poem that I have read, and I'll say I got a lot out of that. This is the Essentials collection. That poem was Steam Bath. Well, Madison, if you're still here, I'm about to wrap things up. Haven't quite figured out I see the chat, but I haven't quite figured out seeing the current viewer count and things like that. So if anyone else is on, thank you for joining. We'll see you next time. Leave the music running for just a little bit in case anyone has any parting words they would like to share. Any final questions, comments, prayers. Have a beautiful night. Have a beautiful night or day. Take care, everyone.